Thank you guys for being here this morning. My name is John Grant Little, and I have the pleasure of introducing today's speaker. Steve told me to keep it short and authentic, but being 6'2" and not wearing skinny jeans, that's going to be a little difficult. I have the pleasure of introducing today PatrickMead. He holds 2 PhDs in psychology and psychoneuroimmunology, which is impressive to a biology guy like me. But more importantly than that, he's a minister at 4th Avenue Church of Christ and has been truly a father of the faith to me and my brother and so many others that attend there. 4th Avenue has really grown under him and has grown to show love to the entire community of Franklin. And I ask you all to please give a warm welcome to Mr. PatrickMead.
All right, it's easy to read it. It says, God is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam and mountains shake with their surging. Seriously? You wouldn't be afraid? Oh, that mountain just fell down. Oh, there's the sea, it's coming. Let's not be afraid. Here's the thing. It's easy to say, our God is our refuge, we will not fear, but fear is what the world is all about. I work with federal agents and international law enforcement about a dozen times a year. The shrink stuff I do, my specialty is combat and fear recovery and avoiding PTSD, that sort of thing. And one of the things that I do is I do a 2-day seminar when I'm with them on fear. Well, I've got 15, 20 minutes, I don't know. So we're going to, and I didn't tell them, I'm afraid I can't do that. We don't do that. Fear. You are surrounded by the merchants of fear. Every TV commercial, every program, it just yells at you. They'll even make you afraid on purpose. They'll say things like in the local news, there's something in your kitchen going to kill you. News at 10. And I'm going, but what if I wanted to go in there? I don't have the appropriate information. Well, later they'll come on and say, don't rub raw chicken on your counters and not wash them. And I'm going, don't tell people that. Let's thin the herd. You know, let's just, I think we ought to let people buy all of the fireworks they want. We need to get these folk out of the genetic line. So let's just let it go. But fear all the time. We're taking a cruise in January. A lot of friends are going with us. But one lady says, oh, I can't go on a cruise. I said, why? She says, I'm afraid of sharks. Well, get a cabin higher than sharks jump. And she goes, but what if we sink? I said, you know, if we sink, I don't think sharks are your issue. There will be other things like me fighting you for the lifeboat. That didn't calm her down. Every commercial that you see on the telly is, 2 things always come up. You're going to live too long and run out of money. Okay, I'll be a burden on the state, got no problem with that. Or I can sit at a picnic table at a roadside rest stop and 30 days, fall over, see Jesus. I don't really, what's the pain? Or they'll say things like this, your money is worthless. Oh, it's worthless, it's horrid. You need gold. Or I love the commercial for silver right now because they say, you need to buy silver because it's worth less than half of its high. And I'm going, why? Why would I buy something that's cratering? And they'll say, oh, you need gold. Your money's worthless, but if you send us your worthless money, we'll give you our gold. Anybody see a little problem with this? Or they'll tell you that you're sick. Or you might be. This is the only country I've ever lived in where you can have advertisements for medicines you're not allowed to go get. You have to ask permission from the doctor. You'll see 2 people along the beach with a Labrador. It's always a Labrador. And they're, they're frolicking, and then the name of a drug will come up, and I'll tell my wife, we might need that. And she'll say, why? And I'll say, because we don't have a house by the beach or a Labrador. And I think that's supposed to supply it. And then she gives me what she claims are Skittles, but I go out for 8 hours. Have you heard the side effects even? There's a medicine for, I'm not making this up, there's a medicine for depression out there, and it says one of the side effects is death. That's not a side effect. That's a terminal result. The box ought to be black with a skull on it, and it says, "This may kill you, but you might be okay with it." Undertaker didn't have to push your face in a smile. It's already on there. We are terrified. We're told to be, the New York Times this week put out a huge article. You have 12 years left. I don't know why you're going to school. 12 years left, and climate change is going to be all over us. Well, I don't dispute that climate changes. Of course it does. But I think we got more than 12 years, because I plan to still be annoying people at that time. And you're going to school, and these people are buying mortgages that go for 30 years. I think we're going to be all right here. And in my life, I've heard global cooling, global warming, climate change. I've seen them all. And I didn't see the Ice Age. Kind of missed that by 3 or 4 years. But I missed the mammoths, quite frankly. They were very friendly, nice to pet. But this whole fear thing of, and I heard we're going to lose some nations in the next 12 years because they're in the water pretty much already. And I'm going, all right, first of all, if you don't like change, you picked the wrong universe. Everything changes here. We had 4 or 5 ice ages, and then the mammoths started driving around in their SUVs, and it warmed up, and then the ice age came back up and shoved everything interesting out of Ohio. I lived in Ohio when I first came to America for about 9 years until I realized I was free to go. But I still work for the Ohio State University, and people say, "Do you root for them?" No, I just take their money. People are afraid of stuff that's good. They'll say, we're overpopulating the world. First of all, have you been there? Have you been to the world? Lots of empty beds. I just flew to Seattle and back. It's not crowded. Put them in Kansas. You know why we have Nebraska? You know why people live in Nebraska? It's because they got out that far, they looked up and saw the mountains and said, "Nope, we're done." And so, but we have lots of room. Also, we're overpopulating because the babies aren't dying. That's a good thing. It used to be that half the babies died. Just about 150 years ago, half your babies died. Now they don't. And we'll have people say, we're getting more autism. Yeah, because they didn't die of dysentery, cholera, and all the other stuff. We kept them alive. And so now they are a part of our community. It's kind of like peanut allergies. People say, "Why do we have so many peanut allergies?" Well, it's very simple. Because we let them live. And when you let people live and they're free-range individuals, they tend to make a baby every now and then. So it might pass on the trait. And they're going, "Well, but that didn't explain why." I said, "Yeah, it does, because in the old days they died. We didn't understand what was happening. Eat your peanut butter sandwich, quit swelling." And now we know that don't do that. And so we raise these kids. This is brilliant. This is wonderful. We are surviving. But we're afraid. We're afraid. People are afraid of vaccinations. They're afraid of going out. 1,595 people, it was figured out by a German professor in Berlin. 1,595 people were killed by fear in the year after 9/11. Why? Because people switched from flying to driving. They were afraid. But driving is far more risky. And he did the math and found that 1,595 people had died in cars because they didn't fly. What are we afraid of? I'll sit in my office. Got to check the time there. There we are. Sit in my office eating a Krispy Kreme. Now, I know that's really hard for you to believe with this sculpted body, but I pulled it off. And I was sitting there. And the donuts are fine, but I always worry about their spelling issues. But anyway, I was eating a Krispy Kreme, and one of my staff came in, and they said, "You keep eating that. That'll kill you." So what's the downside? Seriously, I'm sitting in a comfy chair, eating a Krispy Kreme, look up, see Jesus. Where's the negative in this scenario? My daughter was studying to be a registered dietitian, and I said, "Girl, that's all right. We're a science family. That's cool. That's very fine. But don't be a food Nazi. The fact is, everybody dies of something. So I study all diseases, and I pick the one I want to die from, and I eat accordingly. I don't want to go to the hospital one of these days and they're going, oh, we're going to have to run a whole bunch of tests to see what's wrong. I want it to be obvious. You know, when they walk in and go, oh, got it. And they know exactly what to pump into me or take out of me or whatever they're doing. But why do people want you to be afraid? Because it controls you. It controls you. It makes you not, it robs you of your joy, but it gives them money, gives them power, always. Oh, you know, how many times you have to do it? That Bill Clinton, he was a philanderer, that's awful. The world's going to end. Oh, George Bush, he's stupid, that's not going to work. Oh, my goodness. There's Obama, he's a socialist probably, I don't know. There we go. And there's Trump. I really don't have there's Trump. And oh, we're all going to die, we're all going to. No, you're not. By the way, you know, I've lived through 12 presidents and still have the same queen. You could have, but you blew it. You blew it, and you did. I love it when people say, oh, I wish I had that accent. And I'll say, you could have, but you shot us, and we left. I was down near Leaper's Fork on a guy's farm and just talking to him, and I said, this is a great place you got here. When'd you get it? And he goes, oh, my family got it back right after the Revolutionary War. It was just a big land grant. And I'm just looking at him going, oh, that's interesting. My family lost a lot of land about the same time, frankly. We had to go back to Scotland, put on a skirt. It was a humiliating time. But we're afraid of genetically modified food. Oh, that's terrible, that is. Although, in the history of mankind, it has sickened or killed exactly nobody. And we've always genetically modified stuff. You think cows looked like that originally? No, we make different kinds. We introduce them, give them a little meal, some music, and then we get a different breed out of them. I'm not going to go into all of it because I don't want to, spoil. I don't want to spoil the end of your biology book, but we get something new. We're terrified of that. I like going into Whole Foods because I know that I'm going to be the toughest man in there. I could rob it with a bag of gluten. I just don't make me open this. Yeah, you might think you'd like to get inside my head, but you don't. You'd pay money to get out. Oh, here's another one. Now, I don't care what your politics are. I really don't care. But there was a lady screaming on television saying that if Kavanaugh got on the court, millions of women would die in the streets. Millions? Do you have a concept of how many millions that would be? And besides, he can't overturn Roe versus Wade. They'd all have to pretty much agree, 5 of them, and if that does, it'll go back to the state. It doesn't mean you have to go in the street and die. And whenever the court tilts the other way, because it always will, it doesn't mean you're going to go out in the street and die. But they want you to be terrified, so you have to get to the polls and vote them into power. And there you go. Fear sells. Now, I'm a prophet. I didn't ask John to tell you that. I want to spring it on you. Now, you're prepared to be amazed. Here's one for you. This weekend, Kohl's will have a sale. I know. I impress myself often. Now, why is that not impressive? Is because they always have one, and it's always limited. Oh, you got to come this weekend. You don't come this weekend, no socks for you, ever. You're done. No, and we got some cute ones, but no, not for you. You have to come this weekend. And sometimes they even put on the front of it this little thing that you gotta go there and rub off to know how much you're going to save after you buy the stuff. Really? You're buying your socks at a casino now? I don't know. Come on, 20%. No, it's 10. They want to control you, and so they'll say, oh, here's one. Now, I'm at a Christian university, and so none of this will ever apply to you. But I'm a data hound. I always go back up to the source and check the data. Did you see that big study 3 weeks ago? There is no safe level of alcohol. No matter if it's 1 drink a day, you double your chance of this, that, and the other. And people are going, oh, no. All right, hang on. I'm not asking you to run out and give a try. But when you looked at the data, they were looking at heart disease, stroke, and a few other things like this. And you got to remember the number. 914 out of 100,000 die with this, unless they drink between 1 drink a day and 7 drinks a day. I don't know who that person is, frankly. I think they're well preserved and pickled, frankly. They're pre-made for the coffin. But if they had 1 to 7 drinks a day, the number 914 out of that 100 skyrocketed to 918. Not in any newspaper in the United States. They just want you to be afraid. And they'll even say, I've had people come to me with studies of how many bugs crawl in your mouth while you're asleep. So what should I do then? Tape my head? Stay alert at all times? What are you asking? Bugs are protein. Let's go. You're being very efficient. You're resting and adding to your muscle mass. And keeping bugs out the house. I think this is a good thing. I have no problem with it. We're afraid, aren't we? Because they want you to be afraid. What would happen? What would happen if you opted out? If you chose not to be afraid? If they say, you keep eating that hamburger, that'll do this. You keep doing that, that'll do this. Oh, you got to exercise. Really? Really? My ancestors crawled out of the pond scum and developed hands and legs, so I have to run and sweat? I don't think so. I live in America now. I've got a truck and a gun. I don't need to run. I'm set. Other than jumping to conclusions, I don't exercise often, but I did 23 sit-ups this morning, but you can only hit the snooze bar so many times. So I'm not afraid of it. I go to hotels frequently and see people taking an elevator up to the 7th floor so that they can walk on a treadmill. And I'm going, there are stairs. You don't have to just walk the stairs. Well, they even buy a little step so you can get up and down on it. Why would you do that? They'll say, because that'll make me live longer. Let's go to the nursing home. Have a look. Which room would you like? No. I want to get to a certain point, shake my kids' hands, wave at everybody, we'll go out and go, just blow up. I don't know how I'm going to pull that off, but I'm working on it. Americans are afraid, the shootings. Do you know that if you dig at the data, even mass shootings and school shootings are at a historic low? World poverty, historic low. Young women being allowed to go to school in all these nations, an historic high. And everything is trending well, and we're terrified. People, I'll close by saying this. You are the richest people that have ever lived. The Sun King in his palace of Versailles could not have in October said, I'd like a banana and get one. You can, because you're rich. Solomon's all his glory and gold could not have bought ice cream. And you can. And you're a student. You don't have anything. And you can get ice cream. And you can go in a dorm designed by same people did in a nursing home. And you can adjust temperature, or at least twist a dial to give you something to do. You can find shelter. I was in Seattle, and now I'm here. Woo, how'd that happen? We are rich. We are blessed. Fear not. Do you know the most common given command of Jesus was fear not? Don't be afraid. Let's do this. Come on. We got it. It's school shootings, by the way. Your chances of being involved in a school shooting are 0.0000, that's 414. So I don't think you need to armor up. I think you're all right. How about on the street a shooting? Do you know that if you don't take drugs, sell drugs, or hang around people who do drugs, and don't hang around people who are habitually drunk, your chances, and also don't break up with a lunatic, I could backtrack that one and say why in the first place, but anyway, that's really the people that get shot. Otherwise, we don't tend to get shot. It happens, but not often, but we're afraid because it makes the news. When is Kohl's ever going to put out, don't come here, you look nice? You're not going to do that. So they have to switch things around, don't they? Maybe we should believe what we said. No matter what happens, God's got this. Here's an example. I'm 61, be 62 here in a bit, so I'm almost dirt. And I had a guy, he was saying, oh, you're middle-aged. No, I'm not going to live to 120. I'm over the hill, I see the tunnel, it looks pretty nice. None of my relatives are in there because my family is, anyway. I don't go to family reunions because gunfire makes me break out in wee holes. If you want to meet them, just watch Cops. They show up. But I'm cool with the tunnel. Coming here and talking to you is a highlight of my week, and the reason is I love you guys. I think you're fantastic. I got no fear about the future, period. Even if we lose a nation or two, sorry, just means eventually Lipscomb will be beachfront property, and that'll be you will be Pepperdine without the steps. You don't have to be Stairmaster you can still be you. It's very cool. I have no problem saying, God, they've got this, and stepping back because I trust God. He was doing real well before I got here. He'll do real well when I'm gone. And now he's got you. So let me leave you with a sentence that I told my kids almost every day growing up. To the Christian, fear is not an option, and love is never optional. Cheers.